We've got a real treat on the panel here. And let me tell you how these people got here, and if you're not familiar with some of the association. At the National Association of Realtors, we have about 1.2 million members that are realtors that subscribe to a certain code of ethics. In California, we have about 165,000 members that are realtors within the state association. And within that state association, they go ahead and elect directors from the local association to represent them at 3 meetings a year. And these people are committed to and take an extra time off to go ahead and spend anywhere from 12 to, let's say, 14, 16 days a year on committees, okay, of the 3 meetings a year within the California Association of Realtors, okay? We have, in our association, it's all based on the membership that we have. Actually, with our membership, we're allowed 10 directors, okay? And we have 10 directors which are chosen from the board of realtors that you've elected. And then we have 3 directors that are at large, okay? And those 3 directors at large, we have 1, and I think there's only 3 in the state, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? We have with this association, California Director for Life, Tom Berg Sr. Okay? I believe there's only 3 in the state, is that correct? Or 4? There's more than that? Okay, but anyway, he's an endangered. Oh, most of them have gone someplace else, okay? But he's really an endangered species, okay? But this is Tom Berg Sr., okay? And then we also have one under Director at Large, okay, she's on a very powerful committee, and it really takes years to get on a committee, and we have someone this year fortunate to chair the Convention City Committee, and that's Lorraine Clark. Raise your hand, Lorraine. And then we also have a director that represents us on the National Association of Realtors, who's a director at large, and that would be Mel Wong. Okay. And then the other people sitting, I guess I can introduce you then before I call up, or I'll let Ling Chow do it, okay? We're also privileged, we have a region, everyone knows what region, we're in Region 16, okay? And Region 16, we're combined of 2 boards of realtors, okay? And that's the Citrus Valley Association of Realtors, which has over 5,000 members, okay? And then our association, which has probably around 2,300 members, okay? And so our region, we caucus together and go up there to push issues for the agenda for the California Association of Realtors, okay? And within that region, we're privileged to have the Assistant Regional Chair, okay, which is Ling Chow, and I'll let Ling come up and take over the program. Thank you.
One correction, Director at Large at NAR is appointment. Mel Wong is not a Director at Large, he's a Director because we have over 2,000 members. We have 1 director. So it is always our privilege because of our membership quantity. Thank you very much. I am the Assistant Regional Chair for this year, will be the Chair for next year. Does anybody know that if you're not a C.A.R. Director, you still can attend the meetings as a visitor, as a guest, to listen to the meeting? So you're welcome to go anytime if the expo is coming up in October in Anaheim. If you see any interesting meeting that you would like to attend, you're always welcome to sit in the back. And you are welcome to go to the podium to speak, the mic to speak, but you have to say you're not a member of that committee. This year, we have 13 directors from our association, and Citrus has 14 people, directors at their association. We try to give each director a job when they go, because it is your money that support us to go. So we're trying to tell them you have to work. You cannot go there and just say hi and bye and goodbye and enjoy your trip in Indian Wells or San Diego or anywhere else that they send us. So we have regional reps. What we do with the regional reps is that this particular director that is attending that particular meeting have to make sure to represent our voice, how we feel about that particular issue that they're talking about in that particular meeting. And this person had to bring back to our caucus meeting every Thursday and Friday night to report to all directors to our region, including Citrus, what has happened in their meetings. So I would like to introduce you from my list of all the C.A.R. regional reps assignment of our people that has been assigned to that particular committee. The first one I have the list is Federal Committee, Lee Lieber.
There were a lot of issues that came up in federal that we only took one action item on, and that was to extend the HAFA program at the federal level. It was due to sunset, and we're just trying to fight to get it extended. But I do want to take a couple minutes to tell you what's really going on, both in Washington, D.C. and in Sacramento. And I want you to look at these issues through the lens that there's a budget crisis in D.C., there's a budget crisis in Sacramento. They're trying to raise money any way they can. And then also, what's kind of the new kind of wave that we're up against in Washington, D.C. is for years and years, decades, the tendency has been to increase home ownership. And as we could increase home ownership, it was good for people, it was good for the people buying the homes, it was good for the communities, and I believe that to be true. But the climate right now is that that's no longer really an objective. And we're going to have a tough time back in D.C., NAR is. We've got a lot of people back there who want to get rid of the GSEs. And the GSEs, for those who don't know, are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all the agencies that are doing the mortgages, that are writing the mortgages right now. And that pressure to privatize those is very strong right now. It's going to have, I think, devastating effects on our industry right now. We saw what happened to the commercial market when the private money, when it was left to private money, it dried up. And I think that's what we would experience in the residential market too, that the access to capital just wouldn't be there. So another item at the state level that I just want to put on your radar is there's talk about eliminating the DRE, the Department of Real Estate. And it's again, look at it through that lens that Sacramento's broke and spent too much money, and you'll see why. But the DRE has a lot of money in their coffers, and if they can switch the DRE into the Consumer Affairs Department, then all that money that the DRE has can go into the general fund. So then they can take it and spend it on anything that they want, but that wouldn't be real estate related. There's about a 3-minute video on the C.A.R. website by Alex Creel. If you want to get into the nuts and bolts of the bills that we're sponsoring and that we supported and the ones that we did last year, that's a good way to do it. It only takes a few minutes and it'll bring you up to speed. But I would encourage you to get involved. I'd encourage you to go and sit in on some of these meetings. And as realtors, we all need to be involved. We all need to be aware of the issues, and we all need to vote. We've got some important elections coming up. And things aren't divided down party lines right now, but we need to be active, and we're going to probably need to write some letters, and when you get those call to actions, you need to respond to them. And we really need to look out for our industry right now. If you guys have any questions, please stop me anytime. I'm also chair of the LGR committee now, and I'll be glad to help you steer you through C.A.R. or NAR, do what I can, and we just love to get more people involved at that level. So, thank you.
The reason I'm reporting for you is because Florence decided to save our association some money. And since it was a very early meeting in the morning, she thought, you know what, I had to be there early for my meeting. I could I could cover this for her, so I did. And I want to thank Florence for allowing me to, because it was a great experience. Housing Affordability Fund is just that. You'll see on your dues every year when you pay your annual dues, there's a line that says $10 to go to housing. Well, what that does is it's a separate fund that we can and have tapped into. And you can tap into it if you have any kind of new programs for making first-time buyers easing up whatever financial ails. Sometimes it could be helping pay non-recurring closing costs. Just depends what the lenders are requiring. But it's a great fund, a lot of money. And we actually were the beneficiaries of that a couple of years ago when we got money to put on our home fair. So there are monies there, anything to help promote. They also have the possibility, in addition to paying the $10, you can get a key. And the keys range from $25 all the way up to $1,500. So there are different keys, levels, and they go into that fund. So it does do a lot of good work, so you get to hear what's going on, and I hope we all take advantage of it and contribute to it. So thank you for that. Do you want me to go on to my other committee now?
Okay, since Lorraine is here, we might as well have her finish all her committee. The committees. Okay, this year,
No, I'm not going to.
we are very fortunate to be appointed by our current president, a lot of our members of our C.A.R. members to be on their committee. First one is Lorraine is appointed as the chair of the C.A.R. Expo, where she's in charge of all these expo information this year in Anaheim. In that committee member, our association alone has 3 members on that committee. We have Tom Jr., Lee Bird, and I. So we're pretty packed there for St. Gabriel. Okay, Lorraine?
It's a dynamite committee. We have a lot of new things coming on, and like Lincoln said earlier, you are going to be allowed to come attend any of the classes we're working on now, the schedule, the lineup of who we're going to have speaking, and it's going to be dynamite. October the 2nd through the 4th in Anaheim. So we will have a bus. Our association has already agreed that they will have a bus to get there. And just look forward to a lot of new fun things coming. And I hope you are all there and you support us, since our association's been blessed with a lot of members, because the committee only has 12 members, of which we're a quarter of them. So we really have to show the support. So thank you. That's probably enough on Expo.
Lorraine is also MLS committee for our region.
Okay. On the MLS committee, this is going to sound a little redundant. We have 2 action items, but to you they're not new, because what happened is last November 2011, NAR passed a policy which was a mandate that mandated that we could, if we chose to, disclose REOs, short sales, etc. on our listings. Our MLS did adopt that policy. We have been doing it. So at this year's C.A.R. meeting, they said, you know what, maybe our C.A.R. bylaws and mandatory rules and regulations needed to catch up and also indicate that. So what that actually read was that it was 7.27 REO disclosure. Participants and subscribers submitting foreclosure, bank-owned, or real estate-owned listings to serve shall disclose said status on the service, which is our listing. So we're already in compliance with that, and that was the action item, goes up to the MLS. The second was on the lockbox policy. And there was a lot of discussion on this, but what it came out is that C.A.R. petitioned NAR to re-examine its lockbox policy statement 7.31 to better enable an MLS to enforce a rule requiring use of an MLS designated or authorized lockbox on listings submitted to the MLS. So basically what that was just saying is we're doing it, NAR, but a lot of our agents are having difficulties with it. So would you please re-examine it and see if we can come up with something that's more compatible? So in a nutshell, that was it on the 2 action items. Okay. I do want to say also, and probably not my place, but you'll see that our president, Yin, is not up here. But the reason is because as president, she's tied up in president's meetings the whole day, night, and different trainings. So she's actively involved and doesn't have an action item to share with us.
Thank you. Okay, going down the list. We have Land Use Environmental Policy Committee, Tom Jr. Everybody's confused.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the regional I'm the regional rep, as Ling said, for Land Use and Environmental, and there were no action items to come out of my committee meeting. But there are a few things that are being circulated around for proposed legislation that I want you to be aware of. The first of which, and there's a number of them, but the ones that I think that are most important to us are the ones I'm going to talk about today. The first one is carbon dioxide regulations and related research activity. C.A.R.'s position on this, and this is just being talked about, it's not going through the legislative process yet, there's just buzz going on about it, so C.A.R. brings that to the forefront to make the committee aware of it in case there is proposed legislation that they need to defeat in coordination with Alex Creel, who does a great job. Anyway, if energy were federally, the C.A.R. feels that if energy were federally mandated, property owners' ability to sell their home or building would be at risk without first having to conduct energy audits and improve its heating and cooling systems, windows, insulation, and/or lighting. NER has a similar stance and supports improving energy efficiency through voluntary incentives, commercially reasonable approaches, and education in lieu of individual building mandates. They're also talking about also talking about the lead-based paint RRP proposed rule change for commercial buildings. They want to do something that's similar to the existing legislation on the residential side. And C.A.R.'s position on this is that similar rules for commercial buildings could impose increased regulatory burdens and costs on commercial property managers and realtors with commercial property management responsibilities. Realtors are opposing mandatory testing for lead-based paint tied to the transaction process and support property condition disclosure and education. NER is also opposed to the renovation, repair, and painting rule due to the increased costs and administrative burdens on property owners. And then the last one, and probably the one that created the most buzz and controversy throughout not only land use and environmental, but I believe at federal and legislative, or at least they were talking about it at federal, is the proposal for the rural property fire fees. On November 9th, 2011, the California Board of Forestry and Fire Protection passed an emergency regulation that will assess a fee of up to $150 per structure in the state responsibility areas, which the state they have maps that tell. Most of us will not be affected by that, obviously, because we live in an urban area, or I'm sorry, in a suburban area. Outlying rural areas will be the ones that are affected, and the people that live in those areas and own structures in those areas are under the, well, they're obviously opposed to it because they feel it's double taxation. There's an estimated 800,000 structures in rural areas, including homes and office buildings, that would be subjected to the fee, and this is an annual assessment. So there's a lot of talk going on about this right now. Most of us probably wouldn't care about it, but if you own property in a rural area, it's something to keep your eyes on. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Membership. Our membership in California has dropped from 2005, 2006 high of 211,000. This year they're budgeting for 154,000. The market has not been good, as you know. We discussed many options and many plans on how to get members back. One of the things, listening to some of the pundits and economic gurus is that the market is going to turn. It's turning now. It's reached bottom according to some. Some say we still have a little bit left to go. But the fact of the matter is that I think we've seen the bottom. And because of that, all of you that have friends that have dropped out of membership with C.A.R. are encouraged to get them to come back and build up our membership again. We had no action items, but we talked about several ways. One of the big things is YPN. YPN has done a great job in getting members to come into C.A.R. It's important that you understand that C.A.R., NAR, and your local association work for you. You are the members. They are there to service you, to help you, to make your career a better career. And because of that, we feel that it's important that you, the active members, relay all that is coming down the line. Get your friends to come back and join the association. And that's it for membership. Now, how many of you would like to have $16,000 in your pocket this year? Let me see a show of hands. Come on. Come on. All right. $16,000 is what the Realtor Action Fund saved you last year. Now, the Realtor Action Fund, you'll notice on your dues, is a $49 charge. But everyone here, all of your directors, have to pay $197. This Realtor Action Fund supports C.A.R.'s job to keep money in your pocket. We oppose things that take money out of your pocket. We promote legislation that puts money back in your pocket. And they saved us an average of $16,000 per member last year by just fighting the good fight, fighting those bills that we knew we could defeat in legislation. And I encourage all of you, you've already paid your $49, but pay another $148 because we have a big lawyer staff. There's approximately 5,000 bills in a 2-year legislative that come through Sacramento. And those bills are looked at through a staff of lawyers and staff to see if, in fact, they will take money out of your pocket or put money back in your pocket. And we have to pay for this. We use money. It goes into impact fund for our local elections. It's very important to save money and keep our Realtor Association on the cutting edge. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Ling. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Ms. Lorraine Clark. These are the people that's instrumental in putting me up here. I'm the new kid on the block, so I am. I didn't want this job in the first place, but then since I'm committed, you know. Well, as Art alluded to about the bills and stuff, I'm on the Transaction and Regulatory Committee. This is where the committee's mission is to develop C.A.R. overall policy agenda as it relates to the practice of real estate. It has original jurisdiction to evaluate transactional issues, legislations to regulations in the following areas: licensure, liability and risk management, real estate finance, and transactional. And there's a whole ton of stuff that went through. I don't have time to go into that. I'm just going to go into a little bit on the action items. Item 1 was that C.A.R. support the Senate bill for Corbett that would protect refinance purchase debt from deficiency liability. The Senate bill number is pending at this time, and legislative committee action has approved that. So a little bit about that.
Are you looking through your 197 pages?
Yeah. There's a whole ton of stuff here. Okay, Senate Bill 458, Corbett Anti-Deficiency. This was started last year. C.A.R. initially sponsored Senate Bill 458 to revisit the anti-deficiency issue of Senate Bill 1178 Corbett 2010, which was vetoed by Governor Schwarzenegger. As introduced in Senate Bill 458, would have extended existing anti-deficiency protections to cover the refinance of purchase money mortgages and new debt cash out incurred to acquire, construct, or improve the home. C.A.R. and the lender group reached an agreement to amend Senate Bill 458 to instead expand the provisions of the existing Senate Bill 931, which became effective January 1st, 2011. So anyway, this thing was to exempt people that had to refinance and not put them under the hard money rules to that extent. Section action item was that C.A.R. in conjuncture with NAR support the extension of the Home Affordability Refinance Program, HARP, to allow the government-sponsored enterprise, GSE, to refinance non-GSE loans under the program. And that one is State Bar proposal, anti-deficiency in refinance purchase debt. C.A.R. sponsored Senate Bill 1178 of 2010. I guess it's a lot of numbers to you, so. But anyway, this anti-deficiency thing is ongoing. So the State Bar of California is reportedly prepared to introduce legislation to do just what was proposed, protect the refinance balance of the purchase money mortgages, just like the original mortgage. With no personal recourse, but only to the extent of unpaid purchase money balance. So, and only for loans made after the bill's effective date. Action item 3, that C.A.R. support legislation that would prohibit dual tracking of foreclosure and short sale actions by lenders when there is a valid short sale in progress. Okay, the State Bar, at the recommendation of its Debtor-Creditor Rights Committee, will sponsor legislation with similar effect, but only applicable loans made under the effective date of the bill. Prohibition on dual tracking of foreclosure and short sale actions by lenders. C.A.R. has been asked to support legislation to limit so-called dual tracking of foreclosure and short sale negotiation. Legislation is not in print at time of agenda preparation, and staff will hand carry the information to committee. And action item 4, C.A.R. support a real estate fraud prevention surcharge increase on real estate recordings from $3 to $10, provided that it does not apply to documentation related to escrow and the transfer of property. Okay, real estate fraud prevention surcharge on real estate recording. Existing law imposes a $3 surcharge on recording of real estate related document, but does not apply to surcharge of documents necessary to transfer a property. The proposal from the California District Attorneys Association will increase the surcharge from $3 to $10, but the sponsors have indicated that the revised statute will exclude any escrow documents. So this one has been approved on the legislative committee action. Anyway, there's so many other things. Couple things maybe might be of interest is degree broker experience. Usually, 4-year people with a college degree can get a real estate license as a broker. They're trying to sponsor legislation to make it DRE type approval classes that they do it. Yeah, in finance or real estate type courses. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I guess I don't have enough time to get into it, but I guess that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, I am on the, for the Global Real Estate Forum, I'm the vice chair this year. I'm very fortunate to be appointed the vice chair. What is the difference between a forum and a committee? A forum cannot make any action item. There's no action item coming out the form, so it's just an information source. And we had a wonderful meeting. We will continue to have speakers coming in every different meetings. So if you guys come into Expo Anaheim, welcome, come and visit us. It's on Friday at 10 o'clock. My other assignment for me is the Taxation and Government Finance Policy Committee. It's a very intense meeting. A lady went up to the podium and made an action item. We discussed over an hour and it failed. So everything else was just a report only. So if you're interested in looking at the information of all the action items that we have talked, plus citrus people that's not here to report, it's on the C.A.R.org website. So thank you very much. If you want to be a member of any committee, you are welcome to apply. Please don't think that you can't. You are a member of C.A.R., so you are welcome to apply. Please ask Albert how to do that. I think one of our member is not a C.A.R. director or director, has successfully joined a member of a committee. So welcome, please do, okay? And thank you, Bill, for letting me have a chance. Did I forget senior? Oh, I remember junior and I forgot senior. Okay. Oh, this is a heavy one. Sorry, guys. Professional Standard Committee.
Yeah, last but not least. I'm the regional rep for professional standards. I guess you all know what that is. That's the code of ethics and all related to that. And the major topic was a change in the code of ethics, Article 17, which is where if boards adopt what they call mandatory mediation, and we have not adopted mandatory mediation, but if they do, they will now be allowed to include other professionals in that. So you can now mediate through C.A.R., auspices of C.A.R., with escrow companies, title companies, maybe termite companies, other real estate professionals. So that's a pretty interesting thing. We are probably going to consider mandatory mediation, but we haven't decided that yet here at the board. They're also establishing a statewide database for code of ethics violations. You know, I don't know how many of you know that if you are found guilty of some breach in the code of ethics, some problem, you get slapped on the hand, you get a little fine or whatever, or if it's very serious or continuous, you might even get expelled from the board. But what happens is that people get this and then they say, okay, see you guys later. They go over and join Citrus or down and join Montebello or something like that. And not a whole lot happens. There isn't any kind of real enforcement on this. So the state is now considering having a statewide database so that when you are a bad guy, it's kind of like the DMV. You get a ticket, it's going to go on your record. And you may not be able to switch over to another association. And so that should work pretty good. I'd like to know, in the audience here, are there any people here that speak a language other than English? How many, put up your hands, how many people do? Wow, that's a pretty good number. Do you know that the state is looking for ombudsmen? These are people who are willing to spend a little of their time to help other realtors solve some of their problems with other, between themselves. And so there are two people in this association that are ombudsmen already. Lorraine Clark is one of them. And the goal is to get as many as they can, but the big problem that they have is they don't have anybody they only have one person in the entire state that speaks Spanish. It's an ombudsman. I don't know about the Asian languages. I didn't get a record of that, but I'm sure that they have very few. So if you speak, and particularly if you speak some different language other than the major languages, please contact Lorraine or myself, and we'd be glad to get you in touch with the people to become an ombudsman. It's a very simple job, really. I mean, what happens is they will give you an assignment from C.A.R. They'll tell you that there's a broker up in Paso Robles that is having this little squabble with another broker, and here's a brief explanation of what happened. And could you call the two of them and see if you can kind of help them work something out? And to tell you the truth, it almost always is easy to work out. People just want to hear somebody else talk and hear them talk. And so if anybody would like to do that, it would be really a helpful thing for us to do. I don't know if you want me to cover a couple of other things. Time is pretty short here, isn't it? So I had, I'm also I'm also on the CREPAC trustees. The entire thing that we discussed, I'm an alternate to CREPAC trustees. That's the group of people who spend your money. We spend about $1 million every year of your political action funds supporting congressmen, senators, assemblymen, and state senators. The only problem is everything we do is secret, so I can't tell you anything about it. But anyway, let me know if you have any favorites in the legislature and if they're doing a good job. If you let me know, I'll pass it on and maybe we can get some funds over to them, because this is what we do. We support the people that support organized real estate and homeowners. The other committee I'm on is I'm the regional rep for nominating committee this year, and our job again, it's a secret committee. I'm not supposed to say anything about what we do because we choose the future leaders of our organization. And we have two other jobs. We also choose the NAR directors at large and also the honorary directors for life, or the directors for life. We used to call them honorary. Cover scholarship. I will be glad to. That was my next topic, was scholarship. Scholarship. I am a scholarship trustee also. Incidentally, if you think this job is fun, we go down to Palm Springs, Indian Wells, and we go 4 days down there, and they've got beautiful swimming pools and everything. I never even saw the swimming pool. My meeting, one of my meetings starts at 6:30 in the morning. My wife says, "What in the hell are you doing at 6:30 in the morning going to a meeting?" She's still in bed till 10, down there. So anyway, but that's the way it is. And I'm sure Lorraine Clark got up probably at 5 o'clock every morning for her meetings, so she had a lot of them. But we don't do a lot of the fun stuff that you might think that you would do when you go to these places. But we do the, as I call it, the Lord's work. Scholarship, we awarded 12 scholarships to college students throughout California. And incidentally, the kids that apply almost always get one. That's the biggest problem that scholarship has. They don't have a lot of kids from this area that are applying. What happens is there's 1 or 2 college professors in the state who have got it. They know just how to do it, and so they get the applications from C.A.R., fill it out, and we'll find that 3 or 4 scholarships will go to one college, and that's because they've got a real active counselor at that school. So if any of you know any kids attending college who are pursuing some type of real estate career, have them apply, because there is money at C.A.R. for scholarships. The other thing that we do also is to award the scholarships to realtors for taking classes leading to designations. And we didn't choose any of those this last meeting. We will do that at our next meeting. So if you've taken a GRI, CRS, any of the other appraisal classes that are leading to a degree, you can put in your application for that and perhaps get your tuition refunded. So that's a good deal. Let's see. Other than that, well, I also went to the DRE meeting. I wanted to report, in addition to them wanting to rate our fund by putting the DRE and the offices of real estate appraisers into consumer affairs. The whole idea is to raid the reserve fund that we have, and that's supposed to be for the protection of people who get damaged by real estate. So it's our recovery fund, and they want to take it away from us. It's a large fund, and we put that money in there to protect the public, and Governor Brown wants to take it back. So that's his problem, but he's got to find money someplace, and he's going to get it. Our real estate commissioner has retired some time back. We have an acting commissioner, Barbara Bigby, and she is retiring in March. So we will have no commissioner at all. And Jerry Brown, since he wants to get rid of DRE, is not about to appoint a commissioner, so we're going to be commissionerless. Not that that makes any big difference to us, except it makes the department inefficient. They don't operate like they should, and that eventually will affect us. Yin and I went to a very early meeting at 6:30 one morning called California Real Estate Expert Witnesses. And I've been on this committee for about, since they started about 15 years ago. We heard a young attorney from San Francisco who is also a real estate broker. His name is Jeff Wu. He's a very prominent specialist in evictions and rent control. And it was quite interesting. We had some very good data. He said that 99% of all lawsuits settle. Rent control lawsuits, however, are very high awards if they don't settle. You can lose big bucks. And he also said that if you ever go into court and act as an expert witness, which many of us do, it pays to have lots of gray hair and letters after your name. That's what really impresses the judges. So I felt real good. Anyway, I got a whole bunch of other stuff, but I think time is short, so I'll let him back to Leanne.
I apologize, Tom. I'm sorry, really sorry I forgot about you. Since you have so many to report.
But you had some questions.
I think Carl has some questions.